listening? It is I, Numator 479. According to our studies of your puny mammalian race, we discovered you like very good coffee. And while it is our evolutionary purpose to cause you psychic torment, we want you awake and vivacious to give it. So try our new blend from Spring Hill Jack Coffee, Reptilian in the morning. Our proprietary blend of lightly roasted cacao husks will have you immediately energized upon emerging from the pain cloaca with all your slippery new eggs. Thanks, honey. Hot, I'm cold-blooded. Thanks to Spring Hill Jack and last podcast on the left, I'm ready to get out there and eat some babies. Get out of the way, Hillary Clinton.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last
Podcast. On the left.
Side stories?
That's when the cannibalism started.
Side stories. Yeah.
I don't want to do this up top. I don't want to throw off your whole game here.
Yeah. Just fucking do it. Try to rattle me. Try to shake me.
I'm wearing mistletoe deodorant.
Mistletoe scented?
Yep. You smelling it? He's smelling it now.
Actually, it's very pleasant.
You want to kiss me?
It's more peppermint than mistletoe.
No, this is good. Here, look at this. That's what I got right here. Also.
You've got...
Here's my kiss me hat.
You've got...
kiss me.
You've got a little headband.
You got... Eat your fucking asshole.
You got a little headband that's got a little penis-shaped... but like a gonzo penis.
Yeah.
And it's got some mistletoe hanging off of it.
Suck me. It's Christmas. Is that what this... You think this is for?
So you can walk up to... Yeah, that's what it said on the packaging. Suck me, it's Christmas.
Suck me. I got mistletoe fucking deodorant on.
Yeah.
I got it on my hat. You haven't kissed me one time.
No, I haven't kissed you one time, and I'm not gonna. I just smelled your armpit. That's the fucking closest I'm gonna come. I voluntarily leaned over and smelled your armpit upon your request because we're friends.
It's mistletoe. There's a rule there.
It's more holiday
Than
it is mistletoe, because mistletoe has more of an earthy scent, and that was very pepperminty.
I
love it. I'd wear that all year round.
To be frank, I think they were loose with the mistletoe name.
I think so.
I think it's like when they say Arctic Blast or Iron Mountain.
Yeah, the Arctic Blast Gatorade doesn't remind me of scaling the Andes.
No, because not a single person has dropped to their knees and started sucking on my armpits since I got this. And I thought that was the whole point. I thought that was the whole magic of Christmas.
Oh, so in your mind, by wearing the mistletoe deodorant, you are entitled to armpit sucking.
Yeah. Why Santa's not there? What's the point of Santa if he's not there to try to figure out who's going to be fucking following the Santa rules or not? These are Santa's rules. We think he kind of gives him sort of a Weinstein-like vibe.
Yeah, it does.
But the fact that these are Santa's rules and it's Santa's week and we're all fucking paying attention to the rest of it anyway.
Mm-hmm. I'm not on board, but I love the mistletoe deodorant. I'm on board with the mistletoe deodorant. Please give me some.
I'm going to give you some.
Please. I'd love it. Hand me one of those hats.
Let's scissor armpits.
We can scissor armpits.
Oh, you don't got mistletoe, though. This is not a mistletoe.
I don't got mistletoe.
Watch out. It's got like a stick in the back.
It does have a stick in the back.
Scalp. Yeah.
But I do still have somewhat of the gonzo dick hanging off of my head.
No, it seems to be a theme.
Yeah,
it's very Tim Burton-esque Christmas stylings that we're wearing.
I believe that our employees may have bought these specifically to humiliate us. Yeah.
No, of course, though.
No, of course. No. But, here we are, and here we stand. And this is Side Stories, ladies and gentlemen.
It has been, and it continues to be.
My name is Marcus Parks. I'm here with Henry Zabrowski.
And guess what? We got the poll back. Our incredible social media team went out there. Because obviously it was a big debate in the center of our fan base.
A debate. I would call it uproar.
It was an uproar. But unfortunately, the people have voted. And I hate for the rest of you guys to understand, but poop stories are back in the menu. Our vote went out. We're allowed to talk about poop again, but but there's not much poop here today.
Thankfully, today, the only poop is the intention of poop. It is not poop itself. It is merely a man trying to elicit poop from another person.
Hey.
That does not come. That does not come.
That's what I do every day.
Trying to elicit poop from your
myself.
friends.
All I want to do is elicit poop.
Do you whisper to your butthole? Do you lean down and whisper and try to elicit the nuggets from within?
No, I just sit and wait. I know it's going to come at some point, like I'm waiting for a deer in the forest.
Your toilet's your deer blind.
Yes. Oh, God. All right, so we got a lot of stories today. We have a lot of stuff to get to. I don't know if you were watching this. Rob and I were talking about this separately, but there's a story that I do want you to look at for It's on Law and Crime, the YouTube channel. Maybe for when we come back. That's because more evidence is coming out about this guy that claims to have been poisoned, but with rat poison by a bunch of Taco Bell employees.
Ooh.
After he came back, basically there was an altercation where he went into a Taco Bell. He said, hey, I'm ordering this meal that normally comes with this specific style of drink. I want to say it was a Taco Bell dessert drink. It was like a blizzard. It was something like a blizzard. It was like it was a Baja Blast.
Baja Blast, yeah.
But then when he went to go to talk to these guys and he wanted his drink, they didn't have the drink anymore. So he tried to say, all right, I know none of you have any control over this. This is a corporate system put into your computer. There's no way to change these things, no matter what you do. But he said, how about in lieu of the Baja Blast, you give me a bean and cheese burrito, right? So he said, I'm going to come and do this thing. And the woman said, no, it doesn't work like that. But then he proceeded to do the truly upsetting move of saying, do you even know what in lieu of means?
Ooh.
Which created a massive altercation. He then left. There's body cam footage, all this kind of stuff. He then says, which is why I think it's fucking suspicious, hours later, he goes to eat his food. And what do we know about Taco Bell food? You eat it within the literal seconds that it comes out of that oven.
You have to.
Because if not, what does it turn into?
It becomes congealed.
It just turns into what it was before, which is a corporate slurry that you are legally allowed to consume. That is all it is.
No, it turns back into food science.
Yes, it's back to science, right? And so he waited many hours, but then he said he found rat poison in his food and came back and accused everyone of poisoning him.
I think it's total bullshit.
Well,
total and complete bullshit.
It's very interesting because the police came. It was like Clue. They shut down the entire Taco Bell. They had everybody inside. They couldn't leave. And so they went and checked the perimeter. They did find a rat trap was busted open in the back of the Taco Bell. It did have scoop marks inside of the poison that did match the poison that was in his food.
Wow.
However, due to the draconian corporate laws that are there to protect you, ladies and gentlemen, they found out, right, that they could not, none of them left the store because they're all tracked. So mysterious.
None of them left the store? What do you mean none of them left the store?
Within the time period that it would have had to happen, no one left the store. There was no evidence to show that any employee went out of the store to go to the rat trap. So there was no coverage onto the rat traps via camera, but there was coverage from inside of the Taco Bell, which showed that nobody left. So, cui bono? It's a big story.
Wow, that's incredible.
But it's a lot of evidence there, so we don't know. Everything's just accusations flying around.
I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, how hard did the forensic team work on the scoop analysis?
All I know is that it filled some cop's day, and they probably got some free Taco Bell out of it. Because they said they're scoops.
The scoops.
They're scoops.
Hey, yo,
well, you know, this one thing I know. You guys never get scoops at the store? Yeah, man, I fucking hate when they're sold out because I'm like, you little fucking bitches don't understand that a triangle doesn't pick up enough salsa. Yeah, there's scoops.
But the other thing is that if anybody knows scoops, it's Taco Bell employees, because I would imagine that they scoop out the refried beans with some sort of circular ice cream scoop.
And we talked with this last couple of weeks, I stand by our fast food employees.
Of course.
I know that they know that we trust them.
Yes, we do.
And that I know that if I went in like this and I had mistletoe deodorant on and I had this hat on, I'd get fucked and sucked as much as I can handle. I'd have to say no because I'm married and I don't care that it's Christmas. All right? But I don't know if they would go so far. This is what I'm saying. Why would you poison the guy? You just rub the food on your balls.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
That's what you spit.
You spit in it.
You just spit. That's it. Just go for the classic spit. I don't see anybody going so far as, because I don't see the benefit here, because you are killing a man, and it is very obvious
you can be tracked.
Yeah, you can be. It's very obvious that the man is going to eat the Taco Bell, eat the rat poison. He's going to crunch into it. he's not going to keep going after he because there's nothing. Well, I guess maybe there's tomatoes. They're, I guess, a little bit crunchy sometimes, but there's nothing.
Where have you been that a tomato is crunchy?
Well, I never get the tomatoes at Taco Bell because they're awful.
Well, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I get nothing natural.
Yeah, I get nothing. But something as crunchy as rat poison, he's going to notice that immediately.
I mean, unless it depends on, he might have had a tortilla-like shell. I don't know what item he had.
Yeah, again, there is the crunchy taco shell.
Is if it's a crunchy taco shell, then it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? He's going to, and then, it might have a bit of a bitter taste. That's what he's saying, that he bit into it and he started going, sort of hawking his guts up, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, immediate revulsion.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, this is just I was just fascinated by this.
Yeah.
Because it was the game of Clue. It was all the cops being like, having to find out whose schedule was what, who did it. You know, it was a long day.
Yeah, it's a fun day for a cop, though. You got a little bit to figure out. You're not just walking up to a dead body and going, whip.
Yep. Yeah, it's not just you prying a dead woman's like half-formed skeleton out of a bog. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice. You get to go to you've seen living people. It's a mystery.
You're not walking into some shut-in's apartment and finding the guy melted into his fucking armchair after being dead for 4 weeks.
You're in Monk's Tacos. You're having a nice time. Because they're all joking. He's like, at least you all kept on the clock to the Taco Bell guys, because they were all kept on the clock.
Yeah,
so,
that's nice. They were paid for. That is very nice indeed.
Isn't it?
So where do you want to go first in our cavalcade of true crime stories today?
Man, I do want to. The one thing I'm not going to address is how many letters we got about people getting fucked in their colostomy holes and the amount of different STDs that people have found inside of their colostomy holes.
We did. That was the story that I wanted to bring up at the end of the last side stories, but since there was a no poop mandate, I couldn't. There was and I argued that this is not a poop story. This is a whole story.
It was kind of worse.
This is an orifice story. Because it's one of those great urban legend, my cousin's coworker's aunt, had somebody come into the ER and they had a colostomy bag hole and it was infected. And upon further inspection, they asked and asked and asked. And finally, my partner has been fucking the hole.
Yeah.
And, and then they, patched it up and said, don't let anyone fuck your hole.
Do you think it's for an anniversary? Is it for your birthday?
Like when somebody gets to, do anal for Christmas? No, it seemed like
anal for Christmas. Nothing I love better than having a nice, thick breakfast casserole in the morning.
Yeah.
Followed by a bunch of eggnog and stocking chocolate.
Anal for Christmas.
And I have a bunch of lamb, and then we have a lasagna. Nothing preps the gut.
Yep.
Better than a fine Christmas meal.
And at the end of the night,
anal
for Christmas. After all that, I think that the colostomy whole fucking was ongoing. It seemed like it was ongoing. It seemed like it was something that both parties enjoyed and were consenting to.
Well, you know who's not getting anal for Christmas, unless it's in a bad way, is Richard Bradley Jr., 40, who is being accused of being a serial killer.
My God. But I also, once we get into this story, I'm going to refute the label of serial killer on this man.
Well, yes, because I don't know if it's a common discussion, but the idea of if you're doing something basically for profit.
Yeah.
Because I do think that isn't technically serial killing based upon number of bodies within time period, or is it also about modality?
It's based on number of bodies. It is definitely based on modality, and it's also usually based on sex, because this is it's based on like a sexual urge, a sexual charge.
You don't know what this guy's jerking off to yet.
Yeah, we have no idea. But this is a debate we got into during the Kuklinski episode.
Yes.
But let's get into the story, and then we can continue this debate.
This is one of those stories that how do I put this? Like, I don't often, our hands are dangling. I don't, I'm not saying I'm like the world's best reader, but as I go through like a bunch of different articles, I could not physically understand what was happening. And I'm thinking that some of these are just written by robots or people who don't know what's going on. I found one good one because I did not fully understand that he has already been in jail while they put together this entire investigation.
Sure.
So Richard Bradley Jr., he's 40 years old. He was charged in 2021 with the murder of a young woman by the name of Brandy Blake, that was found basically abandoned. She was in a shallow grave. And what they're saying is that they've since he's been in jail for that crime, they've managed to put together and attach what they're looking like is about 3 other murders to him, all under the auspices of telling them we're going to go look for gold. Which is an incredible reason.
I mean, that's the thing. You already got the name, the Leprechaun Killer.
The Leprechaun Killer.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for Warwick Davis. Because I don't want him to get lumped into any of this.
Does he? I always wondered this about Warwick Davis. How does he feel about his role in the Leprechaun movies?
I think that motherfucker cashes checks and kisses ass and fucks pussy. I think that's what that motherfucker does. I think he gets up every day proud of hell of himself. He's he's the champion.
Yeah. Okay.
He's doing awesome.
That sounds great. I mean, but still, my favorite picture on the internet is from the set of Leprechaun in the Hood,
and they're teaching him how to use the bomb. Yeah, it's incredible. So this story is it's very convoluted. So it looks like he told several people. So now, when it came to Brandy Blake's death, Brandy Blake went missing in early May 2021. Now, a lot of people seem to run into bad luck around Richard Bradley Jr. when they come into a lot of money.
Yeah.
So Brandy Blake had just won 20 grand at a casino. And apparently this is a common thing amongst his victims, was that they were carrying a lot of cash on them.
And that's the one thing that I was a little puzzled about, is that how did this guy find out that these were people who routinely carried a ton of cash on them?
Well,
because that was an important detail, is that it was people who were known to carry large amounts of cash.
These are obviously parts of the investigation that we have not gotten this information yet. Because I went deep into trying to find more, and I really haven't found anything yet because they're pending. All of these charges are pending. But what they're saying, I think, is that's where the serial killing element comes in.
Yeah.
He was grooming people, trying to figure out, grooming's not the term, but he was casing people.
Casing, yeah.
And so he was trying to see, it seems they're all people in his direct vicinity that he knew through friends of friends of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them seem to have, I do not want to demean the dead at all, but some of them seem to have some connection to the drug world.
Yeah, one of them definitely has a connection to the drug world.
Yes, because he said they took a giant one of the victims he's being attached to took a giant block of heroin and 15 grand, and he had with him after he said we got to go bury this gold or do something with this gold that's out in the middle of a field, and essentially saying there's something about I think in the mechanism of. You got a bunch of heroin and a bunch of cash, right? And I know that about you. And I'm going to ask you to do this illegal thing with me because I already got a bunch of conspiratorial compromat on you.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of he was saying stuff to these guys of you're the only guy I trust. This is the only person I trust. And it's because it's the opposite. It's because he's got a bunch of bullshit on him.
Or is this some sort of real life Nigerian prince email scam?
That's what I'm thinking.
Where it's hey, you've got this cash
and this heroin.
I've got gold.
I get 100 grand worth of gold.
Yeah.
That needs to move. Because we looked up, remember we were looking up bullion? There was the episode that hasn't happened yet. We pre-recorded and you'll hear it. Right. But we were talking about bullion on it. And they were talking about how just one piece of bullion is 10 to 40 G's.
But he didn't say what kind of gold he had out there.
Yeah, man, these guys weren't doing the due diligence. No one was there. There was no accountant. There was nobody there looking into making sure the gold was real. Because I'm going to tell you right now, my beloved audience, the gold is never real.
The gold is never real. Never take the chance.
You know what gold is real? The stuff that's on your body currently. Mm-hmm. Or at the museum.
Or in Knoxville.
At
Fort Knox.
At Fort Knox.
At Fort Knox.
There's probably a lot of gold in Knoxville. Yeah. I actually don't even know if is there still gold in Fort Knox?
I think
I don't think there is.
No, I think there's still gold in Fort Knox.
I thought we put it on a space shuttle or something.
Yeah, we put it in a space shuttle and it's orbiting around the Earth.
I am covered in mistletoe.
Fort Knox still serves its original purpose, holding roughly 147.3 million ounces of gold, which is just over half of the U.S. Treasury's stored bullion.
Marcus, I have an idea.
Oh, are we gonna rob Fort Knox? Are we gonna do that? It's me and you.
You said that. I was gonna say I have something to talk to you about.
I asked the question.
Yeah, people ask a lot of questions.
The hypothetical.
I'm just saying, sounds like that gold's just sitting there waiting to be taken.
I'm sure it's quite simple.
Simple as you gotta get a little guy. You gotta get a big guy. We wrote a heist book.
We did, yeah. We got to get a little guy, got to get a big guy, got to get
the inside guy.
The inside guy.
And a guy who's made of gold. he can sneak his way in.
Are you talking about the guy from the last Austin Powers movie?
Yes, gold. Yeah, we'll get that guy.
Yeah, we'll get that guy. Okay, yeah, we'll get Mike Myers to revisit his character and then join us in this heist.
After the Pentaveret, he should try to do anything else possible. God, that show was bad. I feel so bad. I love him. He's my idol. But so if we go back to this, it's a lot of murky details.
Yeah.
We don't quite know what's going on, but he's uses the same MO for all of these guys. Like one was like this one guy, it was a man and his son, a father and son, that the father had come into inheritance. And he somehow convinced the two of them to go out and dig up this gold with him. Or do something with this gold. Because that is not exactly clear either. But it is interesting, like that idea of, I'm going to get you out in the middle of nowhere, which just means that none of these people have seen Godfather 2.
Yeah.
Which is like, you never go.
No.
You never do that.
Never, ever. And then from behind you're, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I guess the gold's fake too, huh? And you're like, yeah.
Yeah. And then he blows both of them away.
Yeah, it's very sad.
But for me, when it comes to high body counts, I personally have 3 different designations that I use. I use serial killer, mass murderer, and spree killer.
Yes.
A serial killer is, of course, somebody who murders 3 or more people with a sexual element involved. A mass murderer is somebody who just kills a lot of people, like hitmen. Like those fall into the category of mass murderers. Yeah, dictator. This person, well, by mass murder, I mean somebody who does it physically with their own hands.
So
in some
is
way or
Richard
another.
Speck a mass murderer or a spree killer?
Richard Speck would be a spree killer.
Because he did all in a go,
yeah,
right?
he did it all in one go, and there was no... for me, also, like a spree killer doesn't really have any sort of gain. There's nothing to it. He doesn't really get anything out of it.
Sorry,
besides,
hat slipping.
Yeah, I know, the hat slipping.
Hat slipping, and you talk about serial killers, and I just I just had a flashback to like 2011 at a house party in your house, and just you just like you're being super hammered, and yelling about Richard Speck. And it felt good. It felt really good.
You got a nice. Was I like sitting at like Holden's window, chain smoking?
Yeah. Because that's what we thought was the way to hide it.
Yeah. The way instead of smoking
in New York,
in the house,
smoke by the window.
Yeah, smoke by the window, and it's not that way. The house isn't going to smell like cigarettes.
Meanwhile, like 5 schlitzes later, you're just smoking in the bathroom. But yeah, so
it happened again and again and again. But yeah, I would say because Richard's spree killers, like there's no real what do you call it, like material motive. You don't really get anything out of it other than I killed a bunch of people. Well, and that gives me some sort of pleasure in some way or another. This guy, he's a mass murderer. He kills for gain. He's not doing it, but
it's like a job.
I'm sure he likes it. I'm sure he enjoys killing people.
Yes.
But he is doing it for some sort of gain.
That is very interesting because it says here, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, they try to describe the difference between the 3. Serial killer, person who kills more than one victim in more than one location over a very short period of time. They said that actually more reflects the behavior of a spree killer, according to the FBI. And a spree killer is someone who kills 2 or more victims over a short period of time without a cooling off period. So they're saying serial killers mostly lies in the concept of cooling off period, which we've covered before. And... yeah, because it said DC sniper is a spree killer, and a mass murder is defined as the killing of a large number of people, usually in one place.
So like Martin Bryant.
Yes, he said in the guy from Vegas, the Vegas shooter.
So I don't know if we would put this guy in the serial killer category
because he's got a job. This is his job.
Yeah, this is his job. Yeah, he's more in because there are plenty of people who rob and murder people. Plenty, and do that as their job, but that does not make them a serial killer.
No,
like for me, it just it has to be some sort of.
Sometimes it makes them Surgeon General. Questions.
But I would say that there has to be some sort of, like, for lack of a better word, like. Okay,
standard?
There
needs to be a standard here.
The only word that I could come up with was wacky, but it's not wacky. That's not the word.
Gotta have a gimmick.
Kind of, sort of. Like there has to be some element to it, some special element. Like, like a missionary killer, like who kills because he believes.
I agree. I think it's modality is the term. I think the idea of why you're doing it and what you're doing is, there's a distinct difference between somebody who just shoots a bunch of people and then somebody who's trying to make a bunch of human butterflies.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because the human butterflies guy, he obviously got some sort of creative writing degree.
Well, Leonard Lake didn't have a creative writing degree.
You wanted one, though. You sure didn't fucking act like it.
We're still got to do that episode on cricket.
We will one day.
Yeah.
That will happen. That, don't worry. It's not another thing we just promised.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to Christ. All right.
Because swearing to Christ means everything to you.
You know me. You know me.
Rise from your grave.
So let's do something a little Christmassy. So we're getting close. Now, this is a cereal.
I love this story.
I miss this. I feel like this is a type of story that's been going in and out of fashion. And it's like, we had the Somerset Gimp. People got mad about the Somerset Gimp because obviously he was kind of touching himself sexually in a public space. People got mad.
He makes people uncomfortable. It's against the law. We get it. There's also remember the clown guys. Yeah, the clown guys was a big.
I miss those guys.
That was 2012,
2016.
2014.
Yeah, sorry, because it was before the election. Right?
Yeah. It was back when things were still fun and fancy free.
Yeah, and they're not anymore.
Nope.
And I remember that, but the idea of things just hovering. Yeah. People don't look at that movie. It follows the entire movie. Just a naked old person standing over there.
But it's terrifying.
I know.
And it's a fantastic movie.
But is it just because we're scared of old people? It's just because we look at that old person and we'll go, ew. Because the scariest thing in that was when the big guy comes in the door.
Oh, yeah.
In that jump scare.
Oh, absolutely. But to that point, wasn't the whole point of that M. Night Shyamalan movie, was it called Home? Parents?
The Visit.
The Visit, yeah, where they get the diaper full of shit in their face.
That was awesome.
That was all about the fear of old people.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
And I am. But this is more about
the thin skin. Yeah.
You talked about this, but this is more about things hovering. People don't like when things hover, but I like it. Because also sometimes, it's just Christmas. Do they even know it's Christmas time? Sometimes you don't know unless a gingerbread man is just hovering in front of your home without leaving. And so this is happening in Arlington. So now we know we've got a lot of shit's been going on in Arlington because
Arlington,
they had that house
Virginia,
explosion.
not Arlington, Texas.
Oh yes. There was a house explosion with the guy who did all the crazy LinkedIn's and all the good lost his mind, that shit. But now looks like they're getting invaded by one lost gingerbread man. Now, if you see this, there's been video. This is where people's Ring cameras. Now, this is how the WUSA 9 puts it.
Woosa.
Imagine sitting down for dinner with your family and you get a Ring notification. You check the camera, but it's not a delivery person or a neighbor. It's the gingerbread man. It's the scariest thing you've ever seen.
No, they specifically use the article A.
See, I just watched The Ginger Dead Man with Gary Busey. Not a good film. It was on Joe Bob's Christmas. The celebration was fucking awesome on Shudder. But look at this. So now people watch this video. People were saying they were just enjoying their lives, living on. They were on North George Mason Drive. This is Wednesday of this week, and this guy, according to the witness, my wife said, "Hey, listen, this guy. He didn't ring the doorbell." And he's just standing there. And he's in his gingerbread man costume. And I'm like, gingerbread, what? Said the neighbor. Because he said, what? And he said, it's still out there. And so we look. Showed this video. Now, as you can see, there is a man. There's really not much to describe with it. And you look at this Ring cam.
The doorbell. He's just standing there. He's in his gingerbread man costume. I'm like, gingerbread man? What? So it wasn't something like...
It's just a man in a gingerbread man costume.
Someone was hiding. He's literally walking in the middle of the street.
He's just walking up and down the street.
Part of me thought, all right, well, maybe it's festive holiday spirit.
So the man, all right. So the man was just hovering. It was just gingerbread man. Part of me isn't that scary by him because he didn't have gloves on. Because if he had gloves on, I would find it scarier.
Well, I think he's holding something. I think he still needs to have, because when you have gloves, you can't fuck with your phone.
You can't. No, exactly.
I honestly think what it was is I think he was supposed to go to somebody's house. And he was sitting at the front door and he realized that he's at the wrong house.
Oh, yeah,
and
buddy.
he stands there for a while trying to figure out
where he's got to go.
Where he's got to go. Is this the right house?
Because look, he's got a phone in his hands.
Yeah, he's got a phone in his hands.
Well,
and
these people called the police on this. And guess what he did? Is that he did try to open the door. He had to walk up the door and he tried to open it. And they were like, what the hell do you think you're doing?
He pushed on the door.
He pushed on the door and they woke up. They're trying to think you're doing. And the gingerbread man didn't just mysteriously stand there. He did just say, oh, I thought this was my friend's house. But they still called the police on him because he was he didn't belong there.
Well, he looks like the way he's walking away, you know that he fucked up something. He was supposed to show up somewhere at a certain time.
Where am I? I'm being paid to be a gingerbread man to, I guess, get run train upon.
I went to Washington Avenue. I was supposed to go to Washington Street.
He does look sad. The walk away is like, because you know what it is? Is that like, I'm a gingerbread man. I thought they would be filled with joy upon seeing me.
No, not
But no, I just created fear everywhere I went.
Yeah.
Just being a gingerbread man.
And the push on the door, I think, is innocent enough. Because it'd be another thing if they were inside and they heard like...
Oh, yeah,
like
if
him
you
trying...
Or, let me in! Let me in, you've been naughty! I've heard people been naughty in here!
Or if he was trying that, like jiggling the door handle or something, like that's terrifying.
Yes!
But like just lightly pushing on the door, seeing if it'll open, knowing that there's supposed to be some sort of party noise going on and hearing nothing. He knew that he fucked up because that's the walk of a man who's going to have who fucked up.
I told them, everybody, I wasn't going to fuck up this year at Christmas. I know I was supposed to be the gingerbread man at the gingerbread fuck party. I knew I was supposed to be there, the center of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because apparently gingerbread also has got a weird sort of like the gingerbread man has a weird history where it was supposed to be, it was done in the old days from Queen Elizabeth I, where she used to have mock cookies made up of the men and women of her courtier. And then if she didn't like them, she'd like bite them and they all go like, and like, because I guess that's, I don't know if that's completely it, but it does seem it was something like that.
As long as the gingerbread has a nice snap. You need it if you has the nice snap.
It needs a snap.
Yes. But if it's a bit chewy, unfortunately, it doesn't have that snap that you want.
I even hate this. Even more remarkable than not being bread, gingerbread doesn't even have to have ginger. Fuck you. What is this? How long is this recipe? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing. It's like, it's got this whole thing, a wall of dialogue, and then like gingerbread, bake for 20 minutes. It's like, what is this shit?
As long as I don't have to watch Mary Berry shove a piece of gingerbread into her mouth like it's the Millennium Falcon entering the Death Star, I'm fine.
It would look like Luke entering the Sarlacc.
No, that happened fast. The Millennium, because it was always like a slow thing, like yeah.
Well,
and Prue's mouth ain't looking all that great either.
No, she's starting to look like a fucking a skeleton shark as well. But this gingerbread man is free so far because we haven't caught him. He's anonymous.
Yeah, of course he didn't commit a crime.
I hope we track this gingerbread man down, and I hope as a neighborhood they beat him.
They beat him to death
in a public square. How dare he try to be a gingerbread man without a license?
Yeah,
because also that's, I think, we got to start talking about. We talked about the Grinches last week.
Yeah.
It might be, we might need some Christmas licenses.
I'm so glad I didn't go for a Grinch at the party last week.
I am extremely happy you did not.
Yeah, because we had a wonderful time. And
can you imagine, if that guy just was there?
Can you imagine what would it like in that wonderful time we were having if a Grinch, a man, some actor showed up for 15 minutes?
Hey, you know, again, job creators.
Yeah.
We could have been job creators, and we could have sat with that man in his stinky Grinch costume for several uncomfortable hours. But at least we would have experienced something.
Yeah,
we would have seen something.
Yes, we would have experienced something, and that something would have been an uncomfortable night with an out-of-work actor in a Grinch costume.
That's my favorite time. I'm an out-of-work actor. That's what I would say to him. Yeah. Oh, I'm not working either. He would love that. God, he'd love it.
He'd love it.
All right, let's get into, we have a bunch of other fucking stories. All right, this one is this is just fun. We can keep this to being, we'll do this. This is a fun one. I'm fine with my penis. And I think that our audience, if you look deep down inside of yourself, I think you should also try to find a way to be fine with your penis, no matter what it is.
No, we have to accept our penises.
Also, being too big is bad too.
Yeah, that is true. But we have to be fine with our penises. We have to accept it.
Because you know what happens sometimes if you want to do something drastic to your penis, it's going to get you in a lot of trouble. And you're not going to there's no coming back.
But sometimes it gets you out of jail.
You never know. For a short period of time. Now, this is in sweet, sweet, peaceful Thailand. Now, this man managed to break out of jail. His name is, I'm going to try to pronounce it, Thanafat Moyad. He's 37 years old. He was submitted to the Bang Lamang Hospital, where apparently his genitals had gotten extremely enlarged due to prison penis enlargement injections.
Infected enlargement injections.
This is my thing, is that if I'm getting my penis enlarged, number one, at least 2 different recommendations.
Oh, yeah. You got to compare prices.
I'm going to have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to see a couple of guys.
Mhm.
I'm going to see some penises.
Yeah.
First that have been done.
Give me some before and afters. And I want
to meet the guy. I want to meet the guy after.
No, I want a guy holding up a newspaper in both photos so I know it's the same guy and I know that time has passed.
Yes, because a lot of times I have heard that if you do get a penis enlargement procedure, it destroys your dick anyway.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And now you're doing it like the same reason like when Natalie hit me about being a sneakerhead. She's like, you only impress other men with this.
Yeah. Of
right?
course.
Like nobody else cares. Nobody knows that these are shoes that other people should be like cognizant of.
I know. I've never once paid attention to your shoes.
No, yeah, exactly. But it's like me showing up with a huge unusable dick.
Yeah.
Like the only people who are going to say anything is probably like the guy that's on there for the free weekend at the 24-hour fitness. Like it's not going to be because then you do have a big, huge, fucking useless dick, and you show up to have sex with someone, and then it doesn't work, and then what does it matter? You might as well just be like, oh, can you fuck me with the Monet? Can you fuck me with the fucking, you know what I mean? With a flat screen television?
Yeah. No. The other beautiful things that are, otherwise useless for sex.
Yes.
Oh, big flat screen television. It's interesting that you compared a Monet with a flat screen television.
It could be the same because guess what you could show on a flat screen television?
A Monet.
Yeah, a bunch of paintings and shit. I could make my fucking TV a bunch of fancy ass paintings, man.
No, you're right. If you get the enlarged penis, at best, they're going to look like these floppy gonzo dicks that we have hanging on our heads right now.
It's just going to be bigger unless sidestorieslpotl@gmail.com. Tell me your penis enlargement success story. But nothing would make me happier if I got a couple of good ones because all I've heard, honestly, it ain't that,
It's not a good idea.
No.
Because this guy, he did it in the worst way possible.
Well, they did it in a Thai prison.
They just put silicone directly in.
And that's not how you want to do it.
No, that's how they do butt implants. And the silicone is always that's what always gets infected.
It's not good. All right. So he got extremely infected. He got really, his penis really expanded to a huge size, but it brought him to the hospital. So no one actually wonders whether or not he did the penis enhancement in order to get to the hospital. But I think that was a bad way to do it. Because guess what? He's about to lose his fucking cock.
Yeah.
And go back to jail. So he gets out of jail. He goes to the hospital. His wife, they have communications because he had a cell phone illegally in jail. His wife brings a pair of bolt cutters. I guess inside her vagina. Like literally, like I don't know how she brought them in there.
These people are quite free with their genitals.
Very crafty. And then snipped his restraints on the chair, like on the hospital bed, and he jumped out of a window. And then he managed to be away. He was free for a full 28 hours. And when they found him, he was just on the roof of the hospital.
He was 20 meters away.
Yeah, he was just on the roof.
On the rooftop of the hospital psych ward, 20 meters away from where he was staying as a patient. And he just went right back to jail.
Oh, yeah. So, and he's going to lose his penis.
Yeah. No. Most likely.
The idea of getting your penis enhancement in jail, it's like, what do you really want to do in jail? Honestly, you work out. Talk to a guy who's going to teach you how to work out. You're gonna read law books. Right? Or any other book.
Yeah.
That's what you stick to.
Read a lot of novels if it was me.
Don't fuck with your dick. When you're without, I'm not touching my penis with a doctor unless it's like Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
It needs to be really established.
Super nice. Yeah.
Yes.
No. And like you said, with references.
Yeah. But yeah, this guy's fucked. And he's back in jail. They didn't even say what his original crimes were. But whatever it was, he won't be using his dick for it later on in the future because it is now gone for him. I need the look on his sad face. He's in excruciating pain. And you really got to be careful with that.
Yeah, you got to be.
I'll sit here like this forever. You think I'm afraid? You think I'm fucking afraid?
Pancakes. We're going to go pancakes?
Yeah, of course. We'll go right to pancakes.
Oh, yeah. No, pancakes. This story is incredible because this one, it comes with not just a story. This comes with decades of stories. It's decades of resentment.
This makes
decades
me really
of
sad.
hatred.
This story makes me sad.
It makes you sad.
Because this is one of those sad stories where you you make it for so long
Mhm.
in a marriage. And by the time you're in your mid 80s, it should just be kind of like the coasting part, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you've accepted each other's picadillos.
If you've been married for over 60 years,
Yeah.
like, what is even the point? But this guy, he finally decided, he waited and he finally fucking snapped. Now, this is in DC.
And this is after 40 years of marriage, these people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. Steven Schwartz, 85 years old, is accused of fatally stabbing his wife, Sharon Schwartz, 81 years old, because he did not want to eat the pancakes that she made.
That's it.
And then he stabbed her in the fucking back.
Yeah, that's it.
No.
It was an argument. And finally, it was too much. He grabbed the knife and stabbed her in the back.
This is definitely not about the pancakes. It's what I've learned about marriage. It's not about the pancakes.
It's never about the little thing.
But you never have to stab anybody ever. Because even at 85, you can walk out that door.
You can always, I've been hearing more and more people getting divorced in their 60s and their 70s.
So sad.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if you get to, well, I guess it's like you do have that final because like you can always joke about with Natalie about how like she's going to have so many years after I die.
Yeah.
You know, she's going to have that 15, 20 years where I die much earlier than her and she's just going to be able to do whatever. She'll have a brilliant, incredible life.
Yeah.
During the time period. So hold out for that, ladies. He was just about to die.
That's the thing, man, is if you're like 85, because at one point you really do, like, I think you can put it off and put it off and put it off. And then when you're like 80 and you're looking at the medical advancements that are happening all around you.
I could maybe have another 30 years.
Yeah. You could have another 30 years. Yeah. And you think like 30 more years of this.
Yes. Pancakes. Because he said he has this problem. This is what
But
you have to look
I
out
mean,
for.
you can walk away. I'm not saying you should stab
No, you should
your
walk away.
wife or husband. You walk away.
Always walk away. But it's interesting because you better be careful. Because it says his main issues were eating, diversion, and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it's because he hates eating. And she was forcing him to eat the pancakes so he could get his fucking medication in his belly.
Yeah.
So you better be careful, man. All right? Because I know you don't like eating, but you can't kill. Not over a fucking pancakes, dog.
When later interviews, he told investigators that he and his wife were married for 40 years, that he loved her and had prayed the killing was a delusion.
Yeah, because he said he was recovering from a stroke.
Yeah. And that might actually have had a lot to do with it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's where the impulse control, like when you lose that, it's because your brain is in flux.
Yeah. He said his wife did not deserve to die and that he wished that he had died.
Yes, because then he did slightly try to kill himself after.
Lightly?
Yeah, because he didn't do it. He didn't finish it. All right. It's extremely sad.
Yeah.
It's very, very sad. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
All right. Because you don't know I guess listen to him. If he says he's not going to eat the pancakes, don't make him.
Well, I don't know, but
you can't force him to eat.
You can't force him to eat, but that's the thing. If he needs to take his medication, fucking medication,
maybe you go like, well, then I guess you don't get your fucking life-saving medication today, Barry.
But that's the thing. She loves him and she wants him to live. Or he might be a monster without his medication.
He might be.
Yeah.
You know, because you're saying he's upset. He obviously stabbed her over fucking pancakes.
Yep.
So you can't be super regular.
And you know how that happened? Wasn't taking his medication.
He wasn't taking his medication.
Yeah.
But you have to think about that. So don't take that resentment. If somebody forces you to eat, you got to delete the resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not their fault that they're making you eat. Your body needs to eat, Marcus.
I know that. I eat as much as I can.
I'm just saying, you might get to a point, especially as you get older, you're going to eat less and less.
That is true.
You're just going to eat pages out of an old notebook. I could see you getting to that point where you're like, that was a spicy stamp. You like lick one stamp. You're like, that's a lot for me.
I'm never getting into stamps. Coins, maybe, but not stamps.
I'm just saying when you're writing a letter to your fucking who?
Brother?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know when you would.
Yeah, I don't know when I would either. I can just text him, call him.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe after the solar flare comes and it's just Kevin Costner has to deliver the post.
Dude, it's already fucking, the solar flare came and went.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, we had the butthole in the sun opened up and shot a fart at us. It did nothing to us yet. And they don't know why. It's really weird. It seems like every once in a while there's this like catastrophic news about the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
There's always like just something about like the sun's spinning weird. And everybody, it's on the news for like a day. And you're like, what does that mean? Like there's a fucking, it seems to be a Hello Kitty has formed in the gases of the sun. And you're like, why? And then what? And then it's like, you hear nothing else.
Well, that's the incredible thing about it is that we've really only been able to observe the sun specifically like up close for a relatively short period of time. And when you consider the entire entire time that man has been using and staring at the sun. Like, we've only been able to observe it up close for like a few decades now.
Yeah.
So we still don't know, like, what the fuck is it going to do and how's it going to fuck with us? We have no idea.
We're scared of the sun. And you wonder why we can't seem to figure out like universal health care, why we can't figure out like anything, why we're in such a miasma of problems right now. We are still just scared of the sun.
With knowledge comes fear.
We don't know anything. And they don't know, but then why even tell me? Because I'm in the solar flare news algorithm, dog.
You are?
I listen to enough dumb shit that I get a lot of solar flare information, thanks to George Norrie, where he's been like, they tell me, you think if the sun got into a car accident, do you think we put out some sun flares? I am immersed in sun news in which everyone is confused.
Yeah.
And then no follow-up. No, like, even, you know what I appreciate? To all you scientist fucking nerds out there at Science News, one follow-up that says, just let you know, sun's fine. Just want to check in and let you know, yeah, we said a bunch of alarming stuff last week about the sun. Turns out we don't know anything.
No news is good news.
I actually think it's the opposite. Some news is good news.
Some news is... Well, I think it did affect a couple of things.
Like what?
I think it affected a couple of satellites.
Like what? When? What happened? Is that why I'm trying to watch football? There was a delay on the Kansas City game.
There was a delay on the Kansas City game.
Is that what the solar flare was?
Oh, there's a geostorm warning.
It's fucking garbage.
Strong solar event will cause auroras and disruptions.
When?
2 days ago.
I didn't see jack shit.
Satellite orientation irregularities may occur. Increased drag on low Earth orbit satellites is possible. High-frequency radio propagation may fade at higher latitudes.
What am I
You're
supposed
telling me that's nothing?
So you mean tell me the only people who are affected are the loneliest people in the world, ham operators, people that in an ancient technology that is no longer used?
No, I think you're thinking about ultra high frequency. This is just high frequency, so this isn't even that high.
So who uses that?
Sailors.
Sailors?
I mean, I do not, because I sometimes use the this weird, like, kind of ham. I mentioned it before. This website that's not necessarily ham radio. It's the sort of shortwave radio that people used to use to listen to number stations.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's still a couple out there, and you can still find some that are still going. Are the main
number stations still going?
There's one called, like, the Blip that's still going, but you can't really find, like, the 7-7.
Yeah, that old one.
Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Except for the one that said the dogs were landing on December 23rd.
Yeah. That's still going. But for the most part, you can go through the shortwave radio transmitter and you can find like boat captains talking to each other in like fucking Russian.
Man, they got to say some stuff out of pocket, I bet.
I bet. But I don't speak Russian. So.
No, God knows what they say. But, again, so I'll just say, hey, son, when you're going to bother me, fucking wake me up first.
Sure.
You fucking piece of shit. Making me scared for no reason about stuff I can't do anything about. It's another fucking thing I can't do anything about. Now I'm just scared of the sun.
The flare was a Class X flare.
That means nothing. It means nothing.
It represents the highest intensity in the solar flare classification system. Solar flares are ranked from A to X, meaning that X is the most powerful.
Is it triple X when it goes up my fucking ass?
The classes are further divided by numbers, indicating their relative strength. An X2, for instance, is twice as potent as an X1. So if we get like an X3, oh boy. We may lose UHF.
These sunflare experts can kiss my armpits. All right? Because that is something that's a racket right there. These solar flare guys just walking around with an umbrella going like, sun's getting angry today. Whoa.
Wow, in 2017, there was
mad. Side stories, lpotl@gmail.com. What is your job, solar flare person?
Yeah, and what is the solar flare that they say is going to knock out everything?
Where is it?
How high does it have to be? Because in 2017, we had an X8.2.
Dude, I just honestly schedule it for me. If you could let me know when that solar flare is coming, I'd really appreciate it.
Schedule the apocalypse and total breakdown of society as we know it.
Yeah, just so I know I can make sure to get enough fucking high C. For my home.
I want to make sure I order enough Ecto Cooler off eBay because I know afterwards eBay is not going to be working anymore.
Oh my God, I'm such a millennial. I'm such a millennial.
Rise from your grave.
Do we have time for one more story? Yeah, all right, let's do this one more story. This guy, all right. Guy got issues with my mom, and I don't, like, express them in that way, but mostly it's because, like, I love my mom. Are you slash overmothered, undermothered? I don't know.
I don't know.
Right? Who fucking knows anymore?
I love my mother as well.
Right? We all do. Kiss my armpits, right? But this guy...
Kiss my armpits, I love my mother.
Kiss my armpits, I love my mom. Right? But this guy lost his fucking mind, and he fucking killed his mom in a brutal way. He's not doing good.
Yeah, he brutally murdered Jeffrey Sargent, 46.
Yeah, so now this guy, he wasn't doing well. He's got bipolar like you do.
Oh, well... I'm not sure if this man's bipolar is comparable to my bipolar.
Just like you. No, this is just like you.
My bipolar is treated. It has been for many years. I care for my bipolar. It is not my fault, but it is my responsibility.
I agree.
But I've been treating my bipolar 2, which is, I like to call it depression plus.
Yeah. It's a sequel to depression.
Yeah. It's kind of extra depression. You get depression, but then there's that little extra thing that makes it just a little bit more horrible.
So it's not going to make you do this?
It's not. It sounds like this man was bipolar 1. Seems like this man.
No, he was number 1, bipolar number 1. I was number 1 in my class at bipolar school.
And also, I do want to say is that, people with mental illness are far more likely to be the victims of violence than to be the perpetrators of violence.
I agree. The letter, I will say truly, it's the South Jersey News that you can trust, breaking AC, that leads with the bipolar diagnosis. So I don't know if this would always be the most responsible news source in the world.
Fucking Linda Cohen is really leaning into the mental illness angle.
But I'm going to read, honestly, Linda, you did a good job here, so I'll read it in your style, as I can imagine. An Ocean City man who was hospitalized after telling police he killed his mother while suffering from mental illness is now in jail. Jeffrey Sargent, 46, called 911 just before 4 p.m. Friday, stating that he was bipolar and that he had just killed his mother. I can't even believe such a thing. How horrible is that?
How horrible. Horrible. It's so horrible, especially right before the holidays.
Right before the holidays,
that
was her favorite, and he killed her before she could do the advent calendar. So police arrived to the apartment complex at 308 6th Street to find Sargent nude in the hallway, lying on top of his mother's decapitated body. Now, again, this is why the guys at the Taco Bell, those cops were having a much better day than these police officers.
Yeah. And
then he said that he was screaming over and over again about how he killed his mother and he was sorry, which is nice to hear. Sometimes an apology goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And he then began singing Jesus Loves Me, which is that Jesus loves me. Yes, I know. For the Bible tells me so. Yeah, which is frightening. Makes him. Yeah, it's like Insidious.
What was that? We are great, he is great, and we are small. Yes, Jesus loves me.
It's weird. It's your little Christian elf with a hat on.
Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me as well, which is why I bathe in my mother's blood. That's what the Bible tells me so.
Lot had sex with his daughters in a cave.
We know what happens in the Bible. So they basically...
Noah's son was killed because he saw his father's penis.
And that wasn't allegorical. I think that was real. I think it was completely real. Now, they found him on footage, which is, it's one of those, in real life, truly terrifying.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, if you saw it in a movie, you'd laugh.
Yeah.
And so it's like, they said they saw from the security cam footage, they saw the door of his apartment open up. They saw his stick his head out, look back and forth, like he was a Looney Tunes character, bowl his mother's decapitated head out the door, where it rolled on its own down the fucking hallway. Right?
Several feet at a high rate of speed.
Oh, that's why I said bowled. Right? Then he was nude, and he dragged his mother's dead body, now decapitated, out of the apartment into the hallway, making it everyone's issue. And then laid naked down upon her body.
Yeah.
And it's just not good news.
It's not good news at all.
It's hard for everyone because, again, it is Christmas time and we are trying to we're getting people coming in. We got all these, deliveries are coming in. It's very fucking, it's a lot to deal with.
This man, I'm looking at his mugshot. He's one of those guys that has a massive, massive head and a tiny face.
Wow. Yep.
His face is so tiny. He just looks like like a Photoshop.
Yeah, his eyeballs, nose, and mouth are within a 2-inch triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of it's just straight up Mom killing Dome. He's got a very large head. It is a very scary story.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like one of my big messages this year is don't check in on your neighbors.
Don't.
No.
Don't, not even to say, hi, how are you? Happy holidays.
This guy didn't need friends. I really feel that Jeffrey Surgent needs some help. But obviously, there's a picture of him in a mugshot where he's wearing one of what they call a suicide vest, where they strap your hands to yourself. And so this man, I feel for this man in many ways, because I know that he was in the throes of a probably very frightening mental health collapse.
Extraordinarily so. I wish that I always hesitate to say this man should have gotten help, because in America it's very difficult.
It's extremely difficult
to get help for your mental health, especially if you don't have money.
Yes.
And it seemed like these people probably didn't have a lot of that.
No.
I guess it would be better to say, I wish this man could have gotten help.
Yes, but then you also never know what that help's going to be, because there's also bad therapists too that are like, yeah, why don't you kill your mother? Which has got to be, there's got to be one or two that are like that every once in a while. Like,
see what happens.
Come on, let's roll the dice. Take me with you. Let's go. Let's go to Mexico together. But this guy is going to, unfortunately, probably not going to get the help he needs until he's in jail.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes while it doesn't, 99% of the time it doesn't help anything, sometimes it does help you get back on the right track.
Jail?
Sometimes.
Every once in a while.
Well, yeah, you're getting some medication.
I don't think he's going to get, I don't think they get mental health, I don't think they get that in jail.
You know?
I don't think so.
I thought they don't get calm down juice.
I don't think they get that in jail.
They get new reptilian in the morning cold brew blend from Spring Hill Jack, like I'm drinking.
Like you're drinking right now. I think that's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
Get all hopped up.
It's giving me a lot of ideas. It's like I got two mouths where my armpits are.
And they both have been eating peppermints.
And all I want to do is fuck and suck. Let's get some listener email.
I was about to say.
You know, I love it. Into small towns, sometimes you just got a guy. Yeah. I want to read this email. I live near Asheville, North Carolina, in an area that a lot of people would say is very backwoods, redneck, and to be fair, it has its moments. Like Raccoon hat guy. I've only seen this guy once, but I was driving to my really dinky rural gas station for some Stony snacks, and this guy was wandering all over the road, which has so many blind spots and a high-speed limit. So as we passed him, we noticed he had blood on him. It looked like he was on something. I don't know if it makes me a bad person, but I didn't want to stop to help him. Plus, he was quick.
Yeah. Oh, you don't
get involved.
Don't get involved. Don't get involved. A man covered in blood that's quick. You don't need to stop for the quick guy.
You really don't, because there's a lot going on there. Just help your local men. Help people. Yeah. Otherwise, give money to a charity.
Also, yeah, help your, because if a guy's quick, then that means you've been observing him, and that means that he is making erratic movements.
That's called erratic movement.
Yeah, that's not quick.
No, yes. When we walked into the gas station, I mentioned to the cashier, I told him, who's worked there forever and always tells me the gossip. And she just said, oh, yeah, that's just the raccoon guy. He likes to put dead raccoons on his head. By dead raccoons, she just meant roadkill.
Yeah.
He was wearing a roadkill raccoon just as a hat, blood and all. And when we left the gas station, he was nowhere to be seen. He kind of disappeared like a redneck cryptid. And I just think that's fun for him.
Fun for him? It's like, how would you compare this guy to Squirrel Hunting Sam?
No, I mean, Squirrel Hunting Sam had an entire lifestyle and a job. This is just raccoon hat guy.
This is not so you wouldn't consider this a life. It's not a job. We know that.
It's not a job.
But
it's not a job.
But it could be a lifestyle.
He has made it so.
Yeah. It's
his lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the same time,
it's an identity.
If you asked him if he was doing it on purpose, he'd probably be like, what hat? You know, like as blood just dripped out his face. He'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And is it illegal? No.
No, there's nothing illegal about being fashionable.
Do you think that he could be charged with disturbing the peace, though?
I think that if this was downtown St. Louis, someone might call the police.
Yeah, but a small town outside of Asheville.
That's just the raccoon hat guy. That's just him. That's just what he does. And then I did get this really interesting email about prions. These things are this stuff's very scary to me.
Yeah.
Basically a long email about, this is a lot of science. This is a lot of science.
It's very interesting, though. I can try to sum it up for you.
If you can.
Yeah, it's basically what this guy says, that prions are very important to human life, specifically mammalian life.
Yes.
But certain diseases, prion diseases, they are incurable and 100% fatal.
Yeah, because it's a protein that does like a bunch of different shit. Prions, I guess they say they move around copper in our body. They help us with sleep and building muscle. But a prion disease is when you either consume or something mutates one of your prions that then begins to reproduce inside of your body.
It misfolds proteins.
Yes, and then you mutates one of these things, and then you become bad and you die very quickly.
Well, mad cow disease, that's a prion disease.
Yes.
Yeah, chronic wasting disease. This is interesting here because the chronic wasting disease, it says that it infects all species cervids, the deer family. So I'm thinking that, remember that part in the Hatfield McCoys where I said that like all these deer were dying from a mysterious disease?
It's something like this.
I would think that it was something like this. The most terrifying part of it is that he says, or he or she says, that prion diseases are extraordinarily resilient to sanitation.
Yes.
To deactivate it, you have to soak it. You have to soak an instrument in bleach for an hour, heat it to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or you autoclave it.
With the story about the surgeon that did a brain surgery, not knowing that the person had a prion disease. That's what they died of, because it's truly hard to diagnose a prion disease. And that
they say it's mostly like it presents itself as dementia.
Yeah. And that then they went to go use those same instruments a year later and then transferred that prion disease to another person.
Several years later.
Yes.
And they had cleaned these instruments as you would normally clean surgical instruments. But yeah, the prion diseases remain for several years alive.
Yeah. And I think it's a really good thing to if you're not anxious, it's a good way to get anxious. Like if you just solved a bunch of stuff in your life and you go like, oh, I'm finally feeling good. Here's a good new free floater.
Yeah.
They can just kind of pop up every once in a while because they say that prion diseases can also be held in plant life, which is great because CWD deeply scares this writer because that's one of basically the versions of chronic wasting disease that humans can get. Because it's a prion disease in a free-ranging animal species that like to hang out in farm fields, and it's found in 30 states. So we don't know if it can cross the species barrier into humans yet, but we do know that deer can get it from eating plants grown in soil infected with CWD prions.
My God.
That's great.
So think about that.
Yeah, just really let that roll around. And if you want to avoid that thought, rent How to Ruin the Holidays on Amazon. It's a Christmas movie I'm in. It's on Amazon. It's a lot of, I think it's a really funny movie. And again, I am playing a guy who hates Christmas.
Yeah.
So you'll like that.
And I would also like to address the email that we got about psilocybin and pain. This is from a psych researcher.
This is very interesting.
Yeah, has a few publications under their belt, worked with people with severe addictions and trauma. They say that chronic pain and trauma go hand in hand. So if you have an unaddressed traumatic event, you're likely to experience chronic pain. And they call the type of pain psychogenic, meaning that the individual is likely manifesting this pain as a response to trauma they have not fully contended with. And this person does say, like specifically, it's not a good idea to just take a handful of mushrooms and hope it all works out.
It just don't work like that. But they said
I think we said that. I think we did say we did warn people. Like they say it's not a good idea to just take a bunch of mushrooms, cross your fingers, and think that it's going to disappear. But it does make sense because psilocybin is being used in certain areas to treat trauma.
Yeah, and in therapies, because they do believe that it can rewire some of the way your neural connections are, like it can restart them, and then you can maybe like relearn to live without the pain. Like essentially, like you've been sort of psychologically making the pain slightly, and that now that can kind of help you sort of outthink the pain. But it is not. We don't know that to be certain.
Yeah, we don't know that to be certain because, as they say, that like right now the science, the research for psilocybin when it comes to how it affects the brain is still in its very, very, very early stages.
Yes.
Although I will say that like when I'm feeling my mood going pretty low and I'm starting to feel that depression start to kick in, I take one of my little microdosing pills, I pop it, and that helps to at least It doesn't get me back to where I need to be, but at least it keeps me from sinking even further.
See,
and it's just a little microdosing pill. It's not, I don't do like a full trip or anything like that. It's just, I take it on an as needed basis.
That's why I use Panera Bread's charged lemonade. Whenever I'm feeling a little verklempt.
A little low.
Yeah, I make sure I take 2 or 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And that really cuts the fucking edge for me. And then buttermilk.
But just a whole bunch of buttermilk.
Until I fall asleep, yeah.
I just can't ever drink buttermilk again after there was that ice cream driver when I was a child.
What happened?
There was this guy, because I lived in a really small town. Yeah, I know this is starting off like the Phoebe Cates story in Gremlins.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you were force-fed a bunch of buttermilk by a man you didn't know.
No, there was just this weird, because it was a really small town. It's only like 400 people. So, an ice cream man is not going to have a lot of customers.
No.
But this guy that nobody knew just one day showed up in an ice cream truck.
That's the comic book.
Yeah, and just started driving around the town. And we were, of course, excited because we'd only heard about ice cream trucks like in TVs and movies. We'd never seen an ice cream truck before. So we're running up. We're really excited. And there's this old grizzled man. And this is like Texas summer. Like this is the dead of Texas summer. So it's like 105 degrees. It's humid as fuck because I grew up in a rainy season. It's humid as fuck. And he's just sitting there drinking buttermilk straight from the fucking carton, barely paying attention to the kids. And every time he gives you a fucking popsicle, he takes another big swig of buttermilk. He was around for like 3 days and then he was gone.
Yeah, but you ate the popsicles.
Yeah, they were good.
See, it shows in the end. You could have fought. You knew. But you still went and got the popsicles. You still bought those popsicles? You still watched a man drink buttermilk?
I ate that Ninja Turtle head with the horrible gumball eyes.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was my favorite too. But yeah, I ate them.
So live every day like you're a man with a bunch of buttermilk that's going to spoil and you just suck it down while these children watch. And then as you're laughing your way to the ice cream bank, you know that you've traumatized another skinny Texas boy that would go on to an amazing career.
That's right.
And that's what you do time and time again, because you love your job as creepy buttermilk ice cream man. And you go from town to town, inspiring skinny skeleton boys, being like, do right in your life so you don't turn into me.
Would I be here today?
I don't know.
Without Buttermilk Man?
I actually don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know if you would.
Aren't they the butterfly flapping its wings? Perhaps that was the butterfly that flapped its wings that brought me here.
Yes, it's a fallacy. I think it's a fucking fallacy. So thank you guys so much. This has been Side Stories. We'll see you after the break.
Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Do we need to plug all the other stuff? We'll do that in the last one.
Yeah. You know what we got. Comic book stuff.
Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say.
Goodbye.